All right, welcome to another episode of the Pillowcast. And as usual, I point backwards as if there's a sign there. I think I'm speaking in faith at this point.
I
So,
guess we can
welcome
order one.
to another episode of the Pillowcast. We want to thank you for tuning in. And for those who are here for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Share if you can on all your social media platforms. Today we have a special one, but before I do that, I want to wish all the moms out there a very special happy Mother's Day. You guys are the real MVPs. We appreciate all you do. We love you. And with that, we got a special podcast planned today. Some, I guess, meaty discussion
Mm.
and topics to talk about. So let's get right into it. So I will start by saying, or asking rather, what has life looked like lately?
Okay, for me. All right. So, hey, before we jump into what life has looked like lately for me, I have to honor my mom because without her giving me life, I wouldn't be here. And she gets a special shout out because like eh, your girl is 38 and to have such a great relationship with your mom like that is just something that one can pray and wish and hope for. She's like literally all of our best friends, me and my sisters. She carried four of us and she takes care of us equally up to this day. Like, if you were to ask me where I get my strength and my grit from, it's definitely Catherine Biana Abraham Cuffy.
Mhm.
And today I just want to say happy Mother's Day to you, Mom. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do, all that you continue to do. You raised four of us. Now you're helping raise the grands, and it's like so phenomenal to watch you do. Like, I'm so excited to see where God takes you, and I'm just like, happy Mother's Day. I'm just very happy that you are still Earthside, and I love you. I love you. Yeah. So happy Mother's Day. And life lately, let's jump into it then. Life lately. Um, your girl is starting a new like again. I feel like this is like my no, I won't say. Yeah, no. So your girl is starting a new journey where her career is concerned, and it's like officially begins tomorrow. And I'm excited about it. The reason why I'm excited because this is not just my regular. I won't call it a job. This is like a step in the right direction for my career. So I'm super excited about that. It's been a long time coming.
Mhm.
Excuse me. So life lately is just yeah, super optimistic, all while dealing with the feels of everything else.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's one of the better things that's going on with me. Yeah. So we'll jump into more. How about you?
Life has been good. Busy as usual. Taking care of a few things and everything, but really can't complain. Obviously, you have your ups and downs in life and everything like that, and you got to deal with, the peaks and bounds of the day, so to speak. But for the most part, I think I've been very level-headed, feeling great, uh, continuing to try to maintain a normal physique.
Oh my.
um, with the help of the discipline that I kind of carry over in my personal life as
Oh.
far as like my eating and my training and everything like that. But I tell you, the older I get, the more I start to feel like the aches and pains in the morning. I think for the most part, every morning when I wake up, I like sit in the corner of my bed, or our bed rather, and just sit there and like questioning myself, like, do I really want to
Go to the gym
go to
this
the
morning?
gym? Do I want to go to work? My body hurts.
Ice baths. I heard
Yeah,
those are good.
I know. I have to do that, and I have to do more of the massages and stuff like that. I don't do that as much as I should,
Mm-hmm.
and I think
Yeah,
that will
because your
help.
girl can't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Her hands are way too small for his muscular physique. I don't understand. Like I never thought I'd be married to like a bodybuilder.
I am not a bodybuilder.
I never thought I'd be married to like a bodybuilder
I am not a bodybuilder.
or a man with so much muscles. Like, and these hands, when he asks for massage, I'm sorry, love. Like, it hurts me
Yeah.
more than it might be helping you because, like, two rubs in and these fingers are cramped. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The muscles are real, y'all. And you may not see it because he wears so much clothes, but I see it. And I'm learning about ache spots and what and tight muscles and it's a lot. But yeah, he's a
So
bodybuilder.
this week, I mean, this is an
Let me hear.
um, abrupt jump from
What's up?
this topic to another. But this week we had the opportunity, actually Saturday, we had the opportunity to go and eat at BBQs for the first time in New Jersey.
Period.
These things are all over New York, and
Period.
to be honest, like I've never been like the biggest fan of it.
And he doesn't have to
I've I've eaten there a few times. I enjoy their food, but it's not like
be. Twice.
no.
Oh, you eaten before me?
Yeah, I've gone before
Excuse
you.
me,
Yeah,
with who?
with people,
Mm.
but um, yeah, like I've never. I don't know. I never really called out my name like that. But it's not that it's terrible. It's not terrible food. It's good food, great food. I don't know. Just for me, it's just never been my cup of tea. But I know you were excited.
I was super excited. Yeah. Like after the week that I had, that was like a highlight that I needed. We've been anticipating its arrival, and not just you. I think there are a lot of girls that I know that are from New York who love the chain. So it's like we've just been watching.
Yeah.
And my actually pastora, my pastor's wife, sent a TikTok to me the other day about it, and the same days when I opened it is when you were like, you want to go there? I'm like, yeah, it's opening. And then I saw her message. I'm like, it's on.
Yeah.
It is on.
Yeah, I started following, I guess, their main page on Instagram probably a few months back. So every so often I would see the advertisement of, the new one opening and everything like that. So then earlier in the week is when I saw the official post of them saying, hey, we're opening finally this Saturday. So I was like, all right, might as well go give it a shot. I mean, it's not that I dislike their food. It's just not my cup of tea, but I don't mind eating there. So
I'll tell you what it is.
we had
I'll tell you what it is.
What?
Why it's so popular. It's more than the food.
No, it's the drinks.
It's the drinks.
The bucket sized drinks that they
Yes.
give you. I mean, we had a good time.
Always have a good time.
We went in there. I mean, aside from it being grand opening, so it did seem like they were a little understaffed at first, but as I guess the time passed, it got better. Our service got better, and they also, kind of like comped the check a bit just for the
Because
inconvenience and stuff. So
I don't think they anticipated the buzz. I don't think they anticipated that people would have rolled out so early. BBQs, I think they're usually like a evening spot where people go get lit in the evening. But I don't think they were ready for an 11:30 like grand slam opening, and it was. So I think that's exciting for them. Apparently, there's a lot of people who have moved across the bridge who's been wanting a little taste of home, which is because it's a New York thing. It's like all over. I don't know that there's one in Queens yet, but I know there's one in the Bronx. I know there's a couple in Manhattan, and there are like two in Brooklyn. So for sure. But yeah, it's like it's pretty cool to know. And then you could tell I could tell who's from New York up in there. The music is always a vibe. Like it's cool. And like I said, it's the drinks. The drinks are cute. And they don't always have to be alcoholic. You can mix it up. You can have virgin cute drinks just the same, just so you guys know, because your girl's trying not to drink too much alcohol.
yeah.
So, but these are great alternatives. So, yeah, the food is there. I love me some sticky wings. Don't get it twisted. I love me some sticky wings. Okay. But I thank you for thinking of me because I know this is one of your cheat days, so I understand when what you give up
Yeah.
because it wasn't as big as your normal meals
Yeah.
for sure. And you could have had a drink. You should have had a drink virgin. That might have made it a little more fun for you.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a big drinker like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had my time when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger, just being reckless and whatnot. But on occasion,
Mm-hmm.
I'll drink casually, just maybe whatever it is, a margarita
I never seen you drink.
or
Like
sangria,
you
something
drank
like
at
that.
our wedding, and I didn't even see you drink.
Yeah, I don't. It's not because I don't do it all that often, and and if I do, it's either a special occasion or I have to like really be in the mood for it. Like I don't even understand like for
Why
a
people like it?
period of time, like we when I was younger, I got into the taking shots and all this stuff, and now that I'm older, I'm like, man, like
What were we
it's
doing?
disgusting. Like there's no great the only benefit from it. There actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there is no
There's no
benefit to it
benefit.
aside from the fact that
You
you
get a
get
little
lit
loose. You
and
get
whatever, and you're a little
yeah.
tipsy. But aside from that, like
Alcohol is gross.
there's no benefit to it. I hate the way it tastes. The aftertaste is disgusting. And then honestly, like I ain't trying to get smashed like that. So
We
you
mean
know,
smash leg.
I'm not trying to get drunk.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I'm not trying to get any of that.
All
Like
right.
I'm just trying to chill if I'm out. So
Well, I'm a
yeah,
sleepy drunk, so that's the odd thing.
yeah,
So I wouldn't even say that I get drunk, but like if I drink, like if I drink, I just get sleepy after a while. Sleep it off, then I wake up.
yeah.
Yeah, but when I was younger, it used to get me like wild and lit. I remember I think that ended for me after my mom had to help me up some steps once.
Mhm.
I had a real crazy night of partying. She took my purse, she hid it, made it seem like I got robbed to teach me a lesson. But the after feeling was terrible, guys. Like a hangover is not cute.
Yeah.
Like that throwing up, that trying to figure out where your appetite is,
Yeah, I don't,
not cute.
I don't miss those
So
days. I don't at all. I mean, and to be honest, anytime, I'm also not trying to, I guess, glorify those days because it's not really something I'm proud of. But, uh, anytime that I had gotten really crazy or really drunk,
mm-hmm.
it was like I could probably count on one hand
Yeah,
how many times that's happened to me.
same.
And I tell you, there was not a single moment where I woke up and I was like, "Yay, let's do it again." I
Yeah,
would
no.
wake up and I'm like, "I am never ever doing that again, never and never." And it took about
A few
3 or 4
months.
more times to really
Few months
solidify
later,
that
and
idea.
then you're like, I'm never doing that
Yeah,
again.
and for years, it's been
Since you've
years
gotten
since
like
I've gotten
crazy, right?
any type of anything close to being under the influence. So it's been a very long time.
It was 2016 for me when
Yeah,
I was moving around. Probably this around now,
yeah.
May of 2016 when I was moving to Texas. I had my last rodeo, and I'll never forget. This is where me and John, my brother-in-law, we got like close because I needed to pee on the way home, and he had to stop, and I had to pee, squat a piss on the
Mm,
street. So yeah, yeah, but never again had it happen. Like you said, excuse me, never saw the need for it.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of our crazy times, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I guess we can. Let's segue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's segue into a little background,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not sure if we have ever
Oh, us.
given like a background of our personal life. Growing up, even growing up in the
Mm-hmm.
church, all that. Like, what has that looked like for you on your neck? Well, in your neck of the woods.
In my neck of the woods, I think I touched on it a few weeks back. Like my mom, we came to this country,
Mm-hmm.
officially in '95, and we started off in this one church
Mm-hmm.
in Brooklyn, and We were there basically, I would say, because my mom knew of this pastor because her pastor, our pastor back home, knew that Grenada is very small, so it's probably as big as Newark.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows everybody, and in this case, we ended up in that church, and like I hate to talk about them because it's like they still doing what they, there's this thing, by your fruit you shall know them. If you go up in there, you'll understand.
Mm.
Everyone will understand. Not saying that we were kids being kids. Imagine growing up, like we're growing up and we're growing through life, and Facebook was a problem for them. I think my mom, I wouldn't say my mom was blinded. She was blinded for a while by just this whole respect or being reverent to the pastor,
Mm.
which now when you look at it, it's like, were you guys were, it was like a god complex, like they put this crown on this man, and he's like running our lives. And was it helpful? Probably not, if it wasn't for our own like walks with Christ. I think,
When you say running your life, like, what do you mean?
meaning like what he says goes. His word is law. Like you're coming up and you're preaching a word, but the word is not like, it's not biblically based. But because he's speaking it from the pulpit, we're taking it like, this is the word.
Mm-hmm.
When you like, we have like our Bibles. I have my Bible, and you could see like there's little notes in there,
Mm-hmm.
but you could know when you're not taking a note from what he's saying. You're making notes based on the scripture you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine you like a scripture like, my help comes from the Lord, right? Psalms 121. And just warping it in this way to make it more of like, God is gonna protect him regardless of what.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just me. Yeah, it wasn't like, I won't lie and say this is what it was all the time, but majority of the time this is what it sounded like. It was
Mm-hmm.
more or less, forget about it. Pastor's Appreciation Day. It's crazy. His birthday used to fall on the days, like most of our time growing up, his birthday would fall on those days. So it's like, imagine that. So that narcissism
Mm-hmm.
at an all-time high. Like, he'd plan out the whole service when we're supposed to, as a church, supposed to plan the service.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but no, it was just a weird space. It was a weird space. I think I spoke out about our time there last year when Titi died, which is my mom's best friend, who gave her blood, sweat, and tears to that ministry, and how they treated her,
Mm-hmm.
like as if she was a stranger on the streets.
I mean, I think that's odd because most most of the pastors I know,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to like Pastor Appreciation Day,
Yeah, talk to me.
most of them hate it.
Yeah, no, this one. Oh,
Most of them
child.
hate it. As a matter of fact, I know pastors that literally like told their people, "I don't want you to do this day. Please
Babe,
leave me alone." Type deal.
let me tell you. And then we had this one woman in the church. If his wife were to pass and die today, sis is gonna move on in, right? And when I tell you, she would come down like, it was the oddest thing. Every pastor's appreciation service, any service that had to do with talking about his position as the head of that house, she would have a is it prophetic? No, speaking in tongues, but like a speaking in tongues session where literally what I'm saying, literally how I'm doing that, and she would from the crown of his head to the sole, and she would wear these extravagant dresses. So imagine this show on stage,
Mm-hmm.
and she always had to speak. But when she's speaking, it could start off like, I've known them for this long, and da da da, and then she would. It's like this weird possession will come on her where she has to This is your house. The Lord will vindicate you. It was always a thing. And it's just like, who fighting him?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would not, I'm sure if we were to go to Pastor's Appreciation Service up like in 2025, we'll get the same show
Yeah.
with the same verbiage. Like,
Yeah.
it was weird. So yeah. So imagine just growing up in that kind of weirdness. When we couldn't do, I remember when Facebook and these things just started, the way we got ridiculed for it, like we couldn't be on Facebook. The pandemic happened, and guess who had to be on Facebook?
Mm.
Everybody. So it's just a weird upbringing. Like I think there's a lot of things that I'm still breaking off.
Yeah.
Like where it comes to like judgmental, like how I'm judgmental, like of people and situations. And I think that's like that culture that I grew up in. Yeah. There's even like, and I was able to tell you about, there's this young lady that we know together, won't name her name, but I told you this is just how we were raised and how our churches raised us to believe that, oh, we have to work for our salvation and things like that, or like we can't get on a plane and like we got to make sure we pray, and because we got to make sure that we're prayed up before we get on a plane to make sure we're forgiven and like do those check-ins with God as opposed to just living in that grace, you know what I'm saying? So fully understanding our identities. So when I tell you I'm going through like, what's that word that people like to use when they're breaking it down and coming back and they're going down into the faith?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me what the word is.
I don't know.
Like when people are, it's like they're coming back to,
Deconstructing.
yeah, but in a different way. It's not as, I think, thank God I started finding myself, you know,
Mm-hmm.
before. And then two, like I said, even now, just learning, you shall know them by their fruit. That one verse, that one line is just, it shows that evidence. Like, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't wrong in our thinking. We weren't wrong in how we processed and how we trusted God and not in like how they were running things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of sad, like it's kind of sad the pandemic happened, but that year was a good year for my family cuz it was like we call it like we had a little exodus moment
Mm-hmm.
where we ran away from Pharaoh, quote unquote. And yeah. So yeah, granted, like I said, we're not we're not perfect. There's no perfection. We might have made mistakes. I'm sure I would have. We made mistakes, but I think things that we were doing were humanly, just us being humans. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
was never anything to like come against any leadership or anything like that. If anything, we fell in line. We were upset about it at times, but like, bro, like, and then every kid like we all went through our phases of like rebellion, you know? Like we want to find it ourselves or we just don't want to hear about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that happens when you come from ministries like that. You go through ministries like that, you definitely have those moments. I could be wrong, but I know a lot of us had to find ourselves and we found ourselves in some deep poop before we came back to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like we can all say we had a redemption story because we have to run away from that mindset and figure it out ourselves, which
Mm-hmm.
is wild. Yeah, so that's mine. I'm still working.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, well, two things. Well, I think, just to touch on before I get into my story, just to touch on a little bit of the deconstruction, deconstructing your faith, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. I think the question I think that everyone should be asking themselves is, are you deconstructing or are you destroying?
Mm.
Right? Because destructing and deconstructing look like two separate things. And I think sometimes we can, as believers, we can get so far into deconstructing that we start destroying the very things that we are literally grounded on, which is our faith. We start destroying the roots and the things that are the foundation of our faith,
Mm-hmm.
and then we start taking on these different ideas and these different aspects and views of who God is.
Yeah.
So I think deconstructing, I'm not opposed to it. I've done it where I had to deconstruct things, that beliefs that I had about God that weren't true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's an angry God. That's not true. Every time you sin, you're on your way to hell. That's not true.
That
Right?
one.
So
Oh my gosh.
I had to deconstruct all these things to and really remold it. And then also, while I'm doing all this, I'm searching the scriptures, trying to spend time with God, and then also now having all these things revealed to me, like his love, his grace, his mercy, all revealed to me. Now it's starting to make sense where, oh, okay. So he's not disappointed in me. He's not mad at me. He's not up there waiting with a belt in his hand, waiting to hit me every time I make a mistake. Right? So those were the things that I literally had to deconstruct as far as my walk. But yeah, that's literally the question that I would ask. Are you deconstructing or are you destroying? Both have to do with, I guess, both require some hard, I guess, conversation within yourself.
Yeah.
Some hard inner evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
But the end result is different. Right? So one, if you're deconstructing, then deconstructing should be so that you can construct later.
Yeah.
You can rebuild.
Okay.
If you're destroying, you're not looking to build. You're just destroying everything that you know about God, and you're destroying all the principles on which your faith is founded on. So yeah, that would be my only advice, and I guess the question that I would ask. My story. So I started going to church at a young age. Our family didn't really have an option. My mom didn't give anybody an option. It wasn't like kids nowadays where kids are like, "Hey, yeah, I don't feel like going to church."
Yeah, no.
Okay, you can stay. No, my mom didn't. It was
I think
get up.
most 80s moms were
Yeah,
like that.
it was like get your up, type deal. And yeah, we never missed a service. We started going to church
Golly.
every Sunday. You knew we were there. There was no beach day on Sunday. There was no
Yeah, no. You're right.
park day. There was no games on Sunday. It was get your tail to church Sunday, right? So my mom used to drive this. I forgot what kind of car it was. It was a very old car. I'll never forget it. It was gray. And at one point, it got so bad that the car would smoke. Like, it was like white smoke every time she drove it. So it was, we would be on our way to church, and people knew we were coming because you would see the trail of white smoke. It was like a puff of white smoke pulling into the parking lot.
I crying.
So
The
she would,
visual
and
is
she would,
everything.
it wasn't, check this out. And it was me, my two brothers from my mom's side, and it was also people that my mom knew. So either our neighbor or our landlord that would come with us. So the car was like, it was like 100 people coming out of the car.
Car was tired.
Right. So yeah, the car was like on its last leg, but my mom she got every drop out of that car. But needless to say, we didn't miss a Sunday, so we didn't really have a choice. So, those principles were instilled in me very early at a
Young
very
age.
early age, and I never really wandered far from it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I eventually, got into music. Music has always been something that I loved. I appreciated. I appreciate the art. I love, everything behind the scenes, from writing to the sounds to genre to everything. All things music I love. So I ended up getting into worship very early,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually started playing drums. Drums was my first instrument that I played publicly. Piano was my first instrument that I learned, but publicly, drums were the first thing I played. My mom didn't even know I played drums. So the way I learned was I took these two sticks off of a stool, an old stool that we had, and every day I would beat on the corner of our uh, of our sofas, and I would just
Mm.
mimic whatever I was hearing. And eventually, I started messing around at church, never for a service, but then one day our drummer called out and he said I can't make it. So my worship leader at the time was like, "All right, fill in." So I literally filled in, and my mom's looking at me. She was like, "I didn't even know you played drums." And I'm looking at her. I'm like, I didn't know either. So yeah, I
So we
started
both
playing
gonna learn
drums,
today.
and then eventually, I got into worship leading. Eventually, leading worship at a very young age. Uh, and along that time, obviously being young and everything, there was a lot of immaturities I had, a lot of character flaws that I had, growing up and everything, and a lot of personal things that I gone through, that didn't come to surface till later in my life.
Yeah.
Uh, then around that time is when I got also introduced to grace,
Okay.
so just understanding grace and everything like that, and then just that was a whole new thing for me, because just understanding what grace is, this unmerited favor. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve this, but he does it anyway. You don't deserve forgiveness, but he forgives you anyway. All that stuff was like foreign to me. And maybe it was taught, but it never explicitly. It was
Yeah.
always with a caveat. So yeah, you're forgiven, but
Mm-hmm.
you're God loves you, but God has mercy, and he's shown his mercy upon you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
always there was always this caveat
Mm-hmm.
where, when I started learning grace and everything like that, I started breaking down these views, and much like we were talking about earlier with the deconstruction,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's when the deconstruction started happening, when I'm like, man, so God is not mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I fail, I'm not going to hell.
Yeah.
And all this, I started learning a lot.
I could get on a plane without praying.
Yeah. So yeah, my whole relationship with God is not
Yeah.
predicated on fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's not built on fear, whether or not he's gonna leave me or whatever the case is.
Sure.
So, I got introduced to grace, and that revolutionized my life completely. But then ended up getting married at a young age. Before that, I had gotten the my son's mother pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Before marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was more so one of those things where we kind of felt pressured into getting married. We got married.
You couldn't
That
lead if you weren't
was
married, huh?
Yeah. So that was the thing. So yeah, there was an ultimatum. Well, you have to get married in order for you to lead, and this
Mm.
isn't that, and then between that and then the pressure of her parents at the time, where her mom was like super 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 Pentecostal.
Okay.
So raised up in the faith and everything like that. So they were very legalistic, and I'm not advocating for people to live together, before
Yeah.
marriage. I'm not saying
Recklessly.
that,
Yeah.
but what I am saying is that you shouldn't get married just because you want to keep a position in the church.
Oh, that part.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
At that point, you should just evaluate. Wait, is this person the one for me? And really seek the Lord. as to whether this is the decision you should make. And then from that point forward, you take it from there. But I would even recommend, hey, if you have to sit down until you get it situated, then sit. Sit.
Because then you're gonna jump in.
Yeah, because then now you jump into a marriage that
Yep.
you were never supposed to be in, and then this is where all hell breaks
And
loose.
you're talking from
And
experience.
exactly, I'm talking from
And
experience.
99% of those relationships don't work out.
Yeah, and listen, and it's not to say that my son's mother is a bad person. She's not. We don't see eye to eye on a lot, and we never did, you know. And then we got forced into a relationship very early. Not forced, but we got for pretty much pressured into marriage at a very young age.
We
tried to help
hormones on top of that.
Yeah, and we tried to hold it together, you know, for as long as we could for the sake of
your son.
the child. And that was another mistake, right? We should never, in marriage, you should never be trying to hold your marriage together for any other reason aside from you wanting to make it work between you and your significant other.
Yeah.
It can't be, well, oh, let's hold it together for
the kids.
The kids, or let's hold it together so that way, you know, no one says anything, or for my image. No. Hold it together for you.
Yeah.
Most importantly, and because you guys want to uphold the love that you have for each other. So that was my case, you know. I you know, we ended up in a huge toxic situation, and you know, separated and tried to get back together, and then separated, and then eventually went down the path of divorce. From that point forward is, you know, I hit my reckless season, right? So I started being that I was always, you know, I was kind of raised up in the church and everything. I never knew what it was like to go mess around and everything like that. Yeah. Although, like, you know, I would talk the talk, but it was never like, I would never act on it. I got into my reckless season, and you know, that was it. You know, just breaking people's hearts. I was reckless. I hurt a lot of people in that season of my life. I ended up getting involved with someone, and even the way that relationship started, I was living with someone else, and then I met this person, and then it was just a whole soap opera. So yeah, then that relationship turned toxic because obviously, if it starts on toxicity, it's probably going to be toxic, you know? So anything that starts on toxicity is probably more than likely going to remain toxic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it started on toxicity, and, you know, we were together for some time.
Try to hold it down, hold it together.
Yeah. And I was also now leading worship at another church that I was going to.
Question.
Yeah.
Did you guys hold it together for the optics? Or did y'all think that this was going to be...
I think in this case... Well, the marriage was different. But then in this case, we held it together, I think, because we thought this was it for us.
Oh.
We thought at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it was just, you know... There was a lot that I needed to learn, and I'm sure for her, there was a lot that she needed to learn. Mm-hmm. And I can say that I know I learned a lot from all my experiences.
Yeah.
Especially in that time, I learned a lot. One, about myself.
Yeah.
And then two, about my faith.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know, learning accountability, all that. So, yeah, I mean, we tried to hold it together for as long as we could, you know, and I think it was more so for us. I don't think we had the wrong mindset there. It was just one of those things where the the relationship was founded on toxicity,
So.
And then at the same time, I know I had a lot of issues,
Mm-hmm.
and she did too. She had her things too, and that's not a knock, because we
Yeah.
all have issues. We
Yeah, for
all
sure.
are learning every
Yeah.
day. So, it's just that's what we were. So we ended up moving. I ended up moving closer to Philly, and you know, th- thinking that leaving the church that we were at, because I had
Mm.
so much going on, like mentally, I was like in another world. Like when I tell you negative, I was Mr. Negativity.
Mm.
I wasn't mentally stable at all. Thoughts.
And
I'm a deep thinker at heart. Like I'm a deep thinker. So anything that we could be talking about something, and I'm deep into thought about
of
what we're
course.
talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. I don't know,
Figuring out an answer for it.
either figuring out an answer or just I think when I'm in either in conversation or when I'm in thought,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my thoughts come in imagery. So it's almost like I'm watching a movie and I'm just viewing every little detail. So, all right, was that cup red or was it orange? And is there like an outline on the cup? It gets weird, right? So
Mm.
I overanalyze a lot. And sometimes it's good and then other times it's just like to my own detriment.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like that. So I used to, get into my negative periods and then overthink my negative thoughts. Like literally, like everything, like the world was falling.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been I dropped that pen on the
I
floor,
met that
and
guy.
now the world ended.
I met that version of you.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it took me. Well, by the time we met, I was already in a season, or at least in a place where I was starting to realize, or at least become aware of what was happening.
Yeah.
Um. So backtrack. We moved to Philly, or not Philly, closer to Philly. We're there for a while.
Mm.
Things ended up dying there. Like
That's
we
when the
ended up
relationship
splitting up.
really
Yeah.
died.
So the
Okay.
relationship died, and now she moves back. I'm over there. Now I'm like an hour and
Spiraling.
40 minutes away from family, friends, anyone. I'm literally by myself.
Yes.
And that was probably the darkest season of my life, where I would come home to pure darkness. I had 2 dogs. That was my friends. Those were the people I conversed with.
Mm-hmm.
My 2 dogs. And then my son, every other weekend, I would drive an hour and some change back over here to pick him up and then drive back. Yeah, and that was the darkest season of my life. So much so that I got so bad, got caught up in debt. Wasn't really. I was freelancing at the time, so I wasn't really. I was making a lot, but I wasn't working often.
Mm.
So it was just a weird situation. On top of the fact that me living so far over there,
Yeah.
commute was expensive. I didn't realize how expensive it was.
Crazy.
So yeah,
Yeah. No.
commute was out of this world.
Yeah.
And then I had, at that time I was also a massive addict to steroids. I was abusing steroids at that time.
Even then.
During that time, yes, I was abusing steroids at that time. And the stupid part was I got into it because, obviously I wanted an upper hand, achieving a specific physique
Yeah.
and getting to a specific place. But most people who jump on this stuff, they're bodybuilders, like legit bodybuilders, people who are actually competing for their pro card, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I never once did that. So to a degree, I can understand these people getting into that stuff because they had a reason
They were
to.
competing.
They were competing. I never once competed, but then I was abusing this stuff, right?
Because it was
So-
obviously something internal.
Yeah. Well, I was just insecure. So I felt like if I had the best abs, if I had the ripped physique and looked incredible, then one, I would be liked, or two, I would get all the attention, or three, um, I just felt better about myself.
Yeah.
So a lot of how I felt, or a lot of how I moved, was very much emphasized on my outward appearance, as far as like my physique.
Yeah.
So that was a driving force, so much so that, like, you know, with fitness and everything like that, fitness is a little tricky, right? So, for example, for someone who's bulking during the winter, they're not going to be as ripped, right? Because you're bulking.
And I've seen you
But
do
you're
it.
bigger,
Yeah.
right? So the point is to get bigger, but then you lose the abs.
Yeah.
So now you have body dysmorphia because you're looking at yourself, you're like, I don't have abs no more. Oh man, I'm going to have to cut. So guess what? Now you start cutting. You get into your summer season. Now you start cutting. You have all these abs, but now you're smaller. Guess what happens? Body dysmorphia. I'm not
You're just
big.
not satisfied at all.
I look scrawny. This is not. So it was never enough. No matter what I did, was never enough. On top of the fact that that stuff wrecks your life mentally, emotionally. You're short-tempered, everything. I mean, when people talk about roid rage is a real thing.
Yeah.
Roid rage is a real thing. On top of the fact that it just messes with your emotions, so you're always unstable. You're just an emotional wreck. You can't control your emotions, and then it's almost like everyone's against you 24/7. So again, I was on this stuff and abusing this stuff, and then I got to the point where I got suicidal. I got very. I went down this path where I wanted to, end things. I was done. I was done being at odds with people, and although a lot of that was self-inflicted, right? Because a lot of the problems I had with people were things that I came up with.
Yeah.
It wasn't even things that was legit. It was things that I came up with.
In your mind.
So I had all these built or pre-made narratives that I created in my mind about certain people and what they thought of me.
Yeah.
So, I got to the point I was suicidal, and I'll never forget one day in particular. I always, everywhere I've lived, I always had my like some sort of like studio setup where I had my keyboard, my piano, mic, and everything like that, and I would have my like little worship moments in there. And for months, I remember walking past my piano, and I didn't want to play a thing. I was like, nope, I don't want to even touch that thing, because in many ways I was angry at God for everything that I was going through.
Even if it was self-inflicted.
Even though I was the one causing it, but I was angry at him. I had to point the finger somewhere. I couldn't point the finger at myself. This is where accountability was really like lacking in my life.
Okay.
So I refused to take accountability, and I was at my wit's end. And I remember being in the room, and I almost felt like God was like, just sit at the keyboard one more time. Just sit at the keyboard one more time. And I was like, all right. So I sit and I start playing, and I get into this worship moment. And it was there where I felt like never before. I almost felt like God walked into the room, like in literal form. Like I've always felt his presence every time, for the most part, like when we get lost in his presence, when we're worshiping and everything, you feel his presence.
Yeah.
This was different. This felt like there was another person in the room physically with me. And I remember I started crying, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is happening? And I felt someone like embrace me, like put their arms. It was almost like he was standing behind me. He put his arms around me and started hugging me. And I lost it. I lost it. And from that moment forward, I decided, I was like, all right, I got to move back. I got to move back.
Mhm.
And I ended up moving back, ended up getting acquainted with a community, and started learning accountability and what that looks like.
Mhm.
Because throughout my years in ministry, earlier on, I didn't have accountability. So, which is why I was reckless for the most part.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let anybody in to my struggles or to my mind, to my heart. So I learned accountability, and I learned a lot of, things about myself. And again, I don't, I don't regret any of what I went through. I don't, because I wouldn't be the person I am today. Even relationally, I don't regret anything that I went through, all the failed relationships and everything, because all those failed relationships and that whole journey led me to where I am today, where we're together. Had I not gone through all that, we probably wouldn't even be
Yeah.
sitting here together. So I don't regret none of that. But it was, I feel like God has brought me through a massive journey. Even when we met, I had a lot of issues still lingering. I had a lot of things still going on with me, and ended up going to therapy.
Mm.
And therapy helped me a lot,
Mm.
revealing a lot of
Yeah.
daddy trauma. And then like with us, just us unveiling certain things and everything, like whether it was sexual trauma or whatever the case was, just getting to the root of specific situations has helped me, uproot a lot of stuff. So, you know, I'm grateful. I wouldn't say it's unfortunate that I had to go through all that stuff, but it it definitely has made me the person I am today, and I'm still progressing. Still learning. I'm still growing. There's still so much that I need to learn. Especially when it comes to my mind, when it comes to emotions, and not letting my emotions get the best of me and stuff like that. So yeah, that was more or less my story summed up. I mean, I can literally be here all day talking about my
Mhm.
story, because there's so much.
Mine is not that interesting. I'm just a girl.
I mean, I'm sure you have a story.
Yeah, I do,
Hmm.
but we don't have time for all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So I'm grateful. I'm happy that that I'm here and I know the things I know, but I'm also happy that I'm not just going to be left there. I'm
Yeah.
happy that I'm progressing, that we're progressing, and we're continuing to build one another. Because there's a lot that we're still learning. I think even as a couple,
Yeah.
we definitely don't have it all together.
This week was one of the. This week we didn't have a good week. We had a good
We had a good
week.
week, just not a good
We didn't have a good
maybe day.
Thursday.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and it's just you've gotten very much better with how you approach a
Hmm.
situation after the fact.
Hmm.
Your accountability, I get that.
Hmm.
I'm learning to be accountable too. Although sometimes I feel like I have to let you figure out where you went left, even if I wasn't going that way. And for me, I just want to make sure that in our relationship that we keep are reminded that we are humans. We are allowed to feel. We are allowed to. We. I don't want us to ever get to a space where we're robotic, and it's just don't let our thoughts and like the mind work
Yeah.
take over the fact that we have to be present.
Yeah.
And I think that's what upset me the most with you
Hmm.
this week. 'Cause it's just like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm just a girl
Yeah.
going through something crazy, and you didn't catch it.
Yeah.
You didn't catch it. and it's like you went into. I felt like you went into straight robotic mode when you're trying to be the leader. You're trying to lead optimistically. You're trying, and I'm just like, no, no, no. I need you to be emotional right now with
Yeah.
me. Come hug your wife.
Yeah.
Come kiss your wife. Come tell your wife, I get it, or I don't get it.
Yeah.
But you are going through something, so I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's just like you're doing an amazing job as a husband. You're doing an amazing job. Um, like your therapy. Yeah, you're a different person to what like our first. No, I won't say our first. Yeah, you changed. You've changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when it comes to like I guess when we get into our things,
Mhm.
and I think the last few have been more or less along the same lines.
Mhm.
Um, so I know for me, I need to be a little. I don't want to say graceful because I'm not judging,
Mhm.
but I guess graceful in my approach.
You're just a
Where
guy.
no, but I think for me, I think so. Like we're obviously on this path of being able to navigate through our emotions.
Yeah.
Not ignore them,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
process
Yeah.
them, process them,
Yes.
but as well remain optimistic.
Mhm.
Not to the point where it's it's ignorant,
Mhm.
right? Because I think there's ignorant positivity that exists sometimes,
Mhm.
where you're overly positive and then you ignore life.
I
It's like
used to be that girl.
so. It's like
Yeah.
the house is on fire.
Oh yeah.
No, don't worry. I'm not gonna burn.
Yeah.
No, you should leave the house.
Yeah.
You should leave the house, right? So I think
I could just jump in the
there. Yeah,
shower.
I could just jump in. Yeah, it's like no, dude, just leave the house. It's okay.
Oh,
Figure
shit,
it out.
something.
Figure out the rest later. But yeah, right now you should just leave the house. And I think, being that we're in that mode or we're in that season of really learning how to process our emotions, I think, I guess I wouldn't say fear, but my concern is not letting us get to a place where we get so caught up in a negative moment or a a bad point or a
Mhm.
bad season or bad situation
Yeah.
that now this thing is now controlling us as opposed to us navigating through it, right? So I
Yeah.
think that in our little dispute on
Thursday.
Thursday, I think that's where I was going. And again, my approach should have been a little bit more graceful and allowing you to be able to
To
process,
really feel my
right? Because
feels.
at the same time, intentionally, I wasn't trying to tell you ignore what it was that you were
Yeah.
feeling. I was trying to get you to a point where, okay, you're feeling this, but know that we're not going to be here. We're not going to be stuck here.
Yeah.
God is going to be faithful, and God is still good, regardless of what. How I conveyed that wasn't
It came off
necessarily,
insensitive.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's where
Came
I
off
had to,
hard.
yeah. That's where I had to. I guess where I have to grow and where I can learn in.
The thing is, you have grown. So this is why it took. I was taken aback because it's like it felt like you digressed a little. You regressed a
Yeah,
little, and I'm just like, what is happening? Like we're doing so good. Like where you go? Like cut it out. And
yeah,
this is why I got frustrated. This is why I got frustrated and hung up because it's like we're here. We don't do this anymore.
yeah,
But in this moment, I just needed you to listen, like hear me,
yeah.
not even listen, but hear what I'm saying. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to argue or not to belittle what you are saying or belittle you.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I'm telling you, I'm trying to process it. Let me process.
Sorry.
Let me process, you know? And just be patient with the way I am going to process it. And I think for you it's like you were telling me that you know how I am. But just like I could say I know how you are, right? But then you're not the same person. So I can't tell you I know I can't say I know who you are because I don't believe that you're the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm trying to wheel you back, but we can't be wheeled back because we're like already, we're like flying,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah. So it was just in that moment. Yeah, it was just, I'm just happy that we are able to just
Sorry.
cough it out, let it
No,
out.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
It happens. It ran down, went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's just that, and I'm glad we got to talk it out. I'm glad we got to talk it over. Um, we weren't in our silent houses for too long,
Mm-hmm.
and I was waiting. I was not letting up because I wanted you to understand where I was coming from. Like I needed you to support me in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
and not to say you're not supportive. I'm not saying that you're not, because like you are. You have been very supportive. You have to be supportive, or you'd lose your mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand, yeah, because this situation, none of us can control it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be one of those things. Niana sent me a post today, and I wanted to read it to you, but I hope I don't have sound. Everyone talks about just trust God, but no one talks about the grief of obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Walking away when you would rather stay, keeping your mouth shut when you have to have a lot to say, and letting go of what you were sure was going to save you. So when you like hearing that, it's so much truth in the statement. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the obedience part, that having that faith, and just trusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
So in this season of like tapping into my faith and fully understanding it, because I'm still learning that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm still learning what it is to be faithful. Like pray without ceasing and tell a mountain to move and it'll move.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm still trying to understand it. Probably it's not something to understand, but just believe,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But in my realistic brain, it's just like, for me, I just don't want to feel like I'm rubbing, like God is a genie in a bottle. I think that's why I falter when it comes to faith, because I'm just like, I want. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's not giving me when I want it. And so it's really hard.
Yeah.
So that's where that obedience part comes in. That wait on the Lord part comes in.
Yeah.
Wait and see. So yeah, I'm just like, I'm there. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think like I said, the season that we're in is one that is, learning to navigate all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there is grief. There's a sense of grief and obedience because a lot of what God will be asking you to do is probably against your own will, right?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of things that either you want or things that you desire that God will be like, nah, put that down, type
But
deal.
doesn't God give us the desires of our hearts?
The desires, he gives you the desires of your hearts. The thing is that
Uh-huh.
that's not talking about desires that you already have.
Okay.
He's giving you desires.
Uh-huh.
He's giving you new desires. He's giving you his desires.
Okay.
The way that verse starts, it starts by saying, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that it's not desires that you already have.
Okay.
He's giving you new desires. So the question is, are my desires his desires?
How would we know?
That comes in your prayer closet. That comes in your relationship with the Lord. And then the more you get to know him, the more you get to know his principles and who he is and his nature, the more you start to understand whether or not your desires are his desires.
Got it.
You know? So, and then also there's timing, right? In all that. So just because something didn't happen right now doesn't mean that it's not
going
in
to
his
happen.
desire for you to have that. It just means that it's not the time.
Not yet.
It's just not now. Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. And to be honest, there's a lot of scripture that just talks about waiting. And it's just like, wow, okay. The Lord in many ways is teaching us to be patient.
For sure.
You know,
Because
And then also we base life off of time, that the way we calculate time
yeah,
is different to what time means to the Lord.
yeah,
The Lord doesn't calculate time based on a 24-hour period. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
His timing is not based on 24 hours
Oh,
in a day. We came up with that. But his time is not based on that.
how you know?
What do you mean? How I don't know. Where in scripture does it say that his time
Yeah.
is based on
I
that?
just like asking you.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Like,
there's no
how
scripture
you
that
know?
bases that
Okay,
says that his time is
tomorrow or in
tomorrow,
two
or
hours.
yeah, in within our human
Yeah,
calculated frame of thinking. Like,
thought you're right. Oh
it's
my,
not.
crazy.
So yeah, so I mean, again, I think a lot of the things that we desire and that we probably don't see come to pass at the moment,
Yeah,
it's easy to say, oh, well, that's not in his desire for me to have that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that might not be true.
Uh-huh.
It just might not be the time.
Well, yeah.
So, I think we've been in a season of learning all that. Also, not getting so lost up in our emotions that we begin to identify
Mm-hmm.
with our emotions. Not that we become what it is that we're thinking, but we begin to identify with them. I
Mm-hmm.
think the key is to always separate the two, where I'm the sense of awareness
Mm-hmm.
and I see this emotion arising. Okay, fine. I'm going to be angry,
But I
but
won't
I'm not going
sin.
to stay there. And this is why the Bible says,
Yeah,
be angry
and sin.
and sin not. There's nothing wrong with being angry. There's nothing wrong with feeling sorrow.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with any of those emotions. The wrong comes is when we start sinning on them. You know what I'm saying? We start basing and basing our next steps and next decisions based on our emotions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know? So I think that's the caveat. So again, I think I think we're growing. I think we've come a long way. We're processing. And I'm learning. I'm learning a lot.
Same.
And just
And it's also for me too the learning too. Like talk about our like family dynamics. Like like you were raised. This week I asked you if like your mom raised you on like survival because I'm just like trying to understand where how you were. Like were you raised in like this negative household, like where it's just like happy, angry, like because I was just trying to figure out you because
yeah.
like I seen how where you've come from, but then the fact that your dad has been absent, so it's like you're raised by a single mom.
Yeah.
How is that role? Because I was raised by a mom and a dad, so it's like just navigating through that too. It's just like I think of like how I've never seen you, like I never got to see you like in the dynamic of being a dad.
Yeah.
Like I see you like you with Davion now, but like seeing you as a newborn dad, like I've
Yeah.
never gotten to see you in that dynamic. So these are things that I wonder, and that's why I asked you that question this week. Like, how was that for you guys? Because it's like, okay, because
Yeah.
this is a new territory that we're going to be going into. So it's like, are you going to be okay? Not even that you're going to be good
Oh
at
yeah,
it.
no, I think of
Like, are you going to be okay?
course, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
it also depends what you mean when you say okay, because that that doesn't mean we're not going to be going through anything. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we're not going to have hardships. We're going to have hardships.
Yeah.
I think just the mindset and the approach in as far as like becoming a father now, or becoming a dad to a newborn now,
Mm-hmm.
I think the approach is different because I'm in a different phase of my life. I'm in a different season. So the way I would have went about being a dad years ago
Yeah.
is completely different to how I would go about it now. And one, it's because I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Two, there's been a lot of trial and error. And three,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just a different season, just different space and different mindset. I was very young when I had when we had our when I had my son. So there was a lot of immaturity there. A lot of immaturity, like nothing. Like and on top of the fact that I didn't have a dad literally that
Yeah, to
raised
guide
me,
you.
so
So you
I
didn't
didn't
have a
even know
rule
what
book
that
to
looked
understand.
like. So it
That's
was
what, like,
a lot of what I know today is
yeah.
stuff that I had to learn on my own.
Uh-huh.
And to be honest, like I made a lot of mistakes. There was a
Yes.
lot of mistakes, that I made, when it comes to my son and our relationship and everything like that. There was a lot of mistakes that I made. That I wish things were different, and I wish that I could take a lot of it back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't. I can only just move forward.
Yeah, yeah,
I can't
yeah.
go back.
That's true.
So, but again, now coming into a new space where it's, let's say we bring a child into the world, it'll be different. It'll be way different because, I'm definitely not in the same mindset and the same season. It's just a completely different person, you know? Even this week, somebody, I think a close friend of mine asked me, he was like, what would the you now say to your younger you? And
Yeah.
I'm like, the first thing I said, slow down,
Got it.
slow down,
Yeah.
and embrace time.
Mm-hmm.
I started to begin to learn how to embrace time when my sister passed, because that was like a tragic thing. It was just out of the blue. And just seeing how life can be taken from you from one moment to the next,
Yeah.
it just completely revolutionized the way I view time. Now, time is everything for me.
Got it.
So, yeah, in this space, I would be taking on that same approach where time. How do you build a relationship with a child? Time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build relationship with your spouse? Time.
Yeah.
Time is the one thing that you don't ever get back.
Mm-hmm.
You give it and you never get it back.
That's true.
This moment right now just passed and you'll never
Yeah.
see it again. So to me, time is the most valuable thing that you can ever give anybody. So, you know, with that, as one of the things that I'd be taking on, as well as, I think we're in a I think we would be discipling a child in the ways of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm obviously married to someone who's also passionate about the Lord, passionate about her walk with the Lord and everything like that. So that would be a whole different ball game for me, where it's not me carrying the load of two people.
Got it.
I'm not.
You guys were unequally yoked.
Yeah. So I'm not carrying a
Oh.
relationship for two people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, that's not a knock. It's just we were just two different people.
So, just to be catty and in your business. So your parents knew this. Her parents knew that they didn't know that y'all were unequally yoked to push y'all to join into this marriage.
I don't know if it. I mean, so like the views are just different. I don't know. If I don't think it was intentionally, but I think a lot of the pressure we got was based off of optics.
Okay.
What would it look like for a worship leader to be living with his girlfriend?
Got it. And she's pregnant.
And she's pregnant.
Mm.
And then on her mom's side, although like I wasn't attending her church, is like, oh, you guys cannot, like you guys can't stay together unless you're married.
But then, okay, I guess. So the plan was to move in together because she.
And I'm not
pregnant.
against that.
Yeah.
I'm not against that. Like, yes, you should be married if you're gonna live together.
For sure.
Yes, you should be married.
Yes.
But again, do that with the right intent. Like, don't get married because you want to hold a position in your church, or you
Optics.
are just afraid of what your perception, what the perception would be. Like,
Yikes.
that's the wrong way. That's the wrong reason to be married.
For sure.
The right reason to be married is because I love my significant other and I want to pursue a future with that person.
Yeah.
That's the right reason,
Period.
and that should be the only reason.
Like where we are right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, just bringing a child to the world, I think we'd be in a different space because I think we'd both be very, very passionate about discipling this child in the ways of the Lord
For sure.
and, just raising this child on godly principle.
Yeah.
On top of the things that we're learning, even when it comes to emotional intelligence, all that stuff. Like just there's
My
a lot
Our
that
kids are
we'd
gonna
be
be real good.
passing down,
I
because
pray.
listen, I wish I understood emotional intelligence when I was growing up
Exactly.
because man, the decisions I made,
Bro,
half
I
the
know.
decisions I
When you think
made,
about it now, like
yeah,
these new kids are gonna be okay.
emotional intelligence is so key, especially to a believer,
Yeah, for
especially
sure.
to a believer.
For sure.
And it shouldn't be taboo. It shouldn't be where it's like, oh, don't get into that stuff because that's therapy. That's therapy and all that. No,
Yeah.
they can work. There's a place
Or
where they
both.
can work hand in
Yeah,
hand.
they're supposed. They can.
And I think it's essential.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's one of those things where it should be like it's optional. Honestly, if I were to recommend anything, I would recommend therapy for everyone,
That's true. Even children.
even
'Cause we don't
children.
know what they're going through when we're not with them.
I would recommend therapy for
Yeah.
everyone, and I would also search for therapists who
Same the
have
beliefs.
Christian beliefs,
Hmm.
just so that way
Everything is
they're
line.
hearing one thing at home.
Yeah.
They're hearing Christian principles being taught at home. They're also getting Christian principles from therapy as well.
That's true.
So I think there's a place where they can go work hand in hand together, and it's I think it'll create healthy people.
Yeah. Very.
So I'm not opposed to therapy. I think for me, if you ask me, it's Jesus and therapy. Not that Jesus
Yeah.
isn't enough,
No, you could do both.
but you could do both. You
I
could do
did
both.
therapy. I had to do it. 2021 was a year. Yeah, when I met you, I was like in my healing state. So, that's why I was able to notice a lot. And I'm just like, and I didn't run though.
Yeah.
Golly, I didn't run because I knew God was gonna change you. And then once you got into therapy, it started like I'm like, oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
You're not a meanie. You just need to process some things. You'll be all right. And here you are.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah. With that said,
Yeah,
get therapy. No.
that's it.
But
If you need
yeah,
it, get it.
listen, if you
Like,
don't be opposed to it.
golly.
I think if you at least be open to it, get therapy, as well as build up your relationship with the Lord, spend time with the Lord, build on your foundation,
Yeah.
whether that be spending time in the Word, spending time in His presence, all that, but also seek therapy. If you go to the doctor for anything, for a cough, for feeling nauseous, or any type of sickness,
And I go for everything,
you can go to the doctor for your mind.
especially now.
You can definitely go consider therapy.
Shoot.
Consider therapy your brain
mind
your
doctor.
brain doctor. That's what therapy is. And it'll help you become aware of certain things and also help you get to the root of certain
Yeah.
things. Like there's a lot of things that we act on that we don't realize the reason why we act on certain things.
Mhm.
There's a lot of triggers that we have. There's a lot of
That's
trauma,
true.
past trauma that
Yep.
that we deal with that
And
sometimes
carry. Yeah.
sometimes we're not even aware of it
Mm-hmm.
until we sit and talk to somebody and like, oh, wait a minute.
True.
So that's where this started.
I know. Yeah. It's happened to you.
It happened to me. Yeah. And again, there's still stuff that God's unveiling, so both can work.
Oh my gosh.
So I want to encourage everyone watching. Listen, if you can get it, get therapy. If you can afford it, go get therapy. It's
Afford
worth it.
Yeah.
It is worth every penny. On top of, doing the work at home. Don't just go and
Don't go
get
stress the therapist
information.
out.
Don't get go and get an intake information and not apply it.
Oh, that's stressing out
Because
your
I don't
therapist.
I don't necessarily believe that knowledge is power.
Mm.
I believe applied knowledge
Yes.
is power. So if
And
you're
that
not
goes for
applying it,
yeah.
you could take all the classes you want. You can go to discipleship class. You can go to therapy. You can go
That's true.
hear 1,000 sermons. But if you're not going home and applying these things,
You'll always
then
be
you're always
stuck.
going to be the same
Yeah,
person.
you're gonna be stagnant.
Repentance is a change of mind. That's what it
Period.
is. So anytime repentance is mentioned in the Bible, it simply means a change of mind. You
So-
change your mind, you'll change your actions.
That's it.
And that's pretty much it. So get therapy. If you can afford it, go get it.
Some insurance covers it. Cover it.
Yeah, some insurance
Mine did.
covers
That's
it.
why I was in there.
But aside from that, I hope and I pray that this podcast has blessed you, has, been encouraging to any degree, uplifting to any degree, even listening to some of our story. I hope that it's helped someone.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you, just listen, you're not alone. We're all going through things. We're all struggling at something. We're all, in different areas of our lives and different parts of our journey, So the key is that we're on a journey. It's no one's arrived. No one's arrived. We're all processing, we're all healing, and we're all at different parts of a journey.
Yeah.
And the key is to try to keep moving forward.
That's it.
So don't, if you're out there, you feel alone, you feel, that you're in a dark season and it feels like you're never going to come out. Listen, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
Keep moving. Keep moving. With that said, I want to encourage you, hey, if you haven't already yet, hit that subscribe button and go ahead and help us share the podcast, whether that's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Help us share this. The more we can get this out, the more people will be able to reach. And
For sure.
that's what this is all about, to try to help people as much as we can. So.
Sharing our stories and hoping that you guys will be able to relate, because we're not like perfect people.
Yeah.
We may look it, but we ain't it.
No. So with that said, again, thank you. And until next time.
Happy Mother's Day again.
Happy Mother's Day. Later.
Toodles.